Week 9 Sunday in the books. We've got some overreaction to everything going down in the NFL. The Bills make a big statement. Bengals on the opposite side of things, and some injuries and trades to shake up the NFL after 9 weeks on today's NFL Six Pack.
This is Locked On's NFL Six Pack. 6 bold takes from 2 guys who just flat out know football. NFL experts Matt Williamson and Brian Peacock bring pure NFL talk. Great takes, no fluff, just honest football talk. Crack one open. It's NFL Six Pack on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome to the Monday edition NFL Six Pack. Thanks for tuning in. Love our everydayers who are with us the entire ride. And if you are, make sure you are subscribed up on YouTube and everywhere you get your podcasts. If you're new to the show, welcome. We appreciate you. New format here, week 2, and we're having a good time. And we want to hear from you as well and get as much listener support and listener action involved in these podcasts. We're going to do a weekly mailbag as we always do, but I want to have some other conversations with some of the listeners and maybe do some live shows a little bit more often as well to get everybody involved and have a whole lot of fun here on the new NFL Six Pack with Brian Peacock and Matt Williamson. We've got to start here with some trades and some news here. And usually it's all, reaction to Sunday football, but as it is trade deadline week, and as of this recording, we're about 24 hours out from the NFL trade deadline in 2025. And we've already got some action and a pretty big one from the Philadelphia Eagles, who have sent a 3rd-round pick to the Miami Dolphins for edge rusher Jaelan Phillips. And it's a pretty big move here for the Philadelphia Eagles, who came into the year with a lot of bodies, but they haven't gotten the pass rush that they wanted from that group of edge defenders. And as reported by Ian Rappaport, the Miami Dolphins are actually eating some of the cash so that they could secure that 3rd-round pick. And the Eagles do have two 3rd-round picks, one from the Lions, is it? No, one from they have 2 3rd-round picks, and I'm blanking on what the other deal was that got them a 3rd-round pick. But
I think it was a draft day deal, but I can't remember it. Yeah.
And it is their own 3rd-round pick, though. That is okay. Going to Miami Dolphins for Jaelan Phillips, which is, I think, a pretty good return for what could be a rental player. He's going to be a free agent in the upcoming offseason, and it probably tells you that and informs teams like the Cincinnati Bengals and the New York Jets that might be dangling some of their defensive ends and pass rushers that they should stand firm on whatever they're asking. And we've heard some reports that the Jets are asking for a 2nd-round pick, that the Bengals are asking for. There was reports that Trey Hendrickson is available finally, but they're asking for a 1st-round pick, which they're not going to get for someone who's getting a rental player. So we'll see how all that goes. But a pretty good return, I think. And I think this is obviously a win-win trade. I like where the Dolphins are at. Obviously, new GM in town, and it kind of clued us in, Matt, that they might be doing a lot of movement during the trade deadline. And this is at least one big move that they've got done with still 24 hours to go. Jaelan Phillips on his way to the Philadelphia Eagles. What are your thoughts on this trade?
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. I really understand both sides of this. You're getting a 3rd-round pick. You got to eat a little bit of money, but you need all the picks you can get. This roster needs a massive overhaul. You might probably you're going to need a quarterback, but you may even can get that with your own 1st-round pick. But there's plenty of things that need done. Both lines of scrimmage. You did draft Chop Robinson a year ago, and I know he's banged up, but I mean, he's in the long-term plans. You could afford to move on from an edge guy whose contract is up, as you mentioned. My only concern is durability with Phillips. I mean, just as the player as a whole. I mean, he kind of was medically retired at UCLA and then went to Miami, and he's had some major injuries in the league. But when he's healthy, he's a very good player and exactly what the Eagles should be after. They obviously have a history of bringing defensive linemen in waves. The Super Bowl was the best example you ever see, but Sweat's gone. Milton Williams is gone. They also traded for 2 corners over the last couple days as well. So as usual, Howie Roseman is aggressive. Maybe he could get a long-term deal done with Phillips. It doesn't mean he has to be one and done. Who knows? I don't think maybe he could be franchised. I hadn't thought of that angle till just now, but he helps them win, and this is what they put their stock in. I think it makes a ton of sense for both teams.
A lot of injuries happening throughout the NFL on this Sunday, and it's a battle of attrition in the league, but feels like even more than normal. And the 49ers continue to get hit. Confirmed that Mykel Williams, rookie first-round defensive end, had a torn ACL against the Giants. It was a big win for the 49ers over the Giants, improving to 6-3 despite all their injuries. We'll see if they're active and able to add one of those defensive ends because according to all reports, 49ers are interested in some of these guys. They were interested in Phillips. They have made calls on Hendrickson, and they've already made one move for Keon White and still might be trying to make another move because they've lost Bosa, lost Yetur Gross-Matos, who's on IR now, and Bryce Huff has a hamstring. So all of that could happen. But there's multiple ways to talk about this Packers-Panthers game too. But first, as far as the newsworthiness of it on this Monday, we have more injury confirmation that Tucker Kraft is going to be done for the year, which is a huge loss for the Green Bay Packers. So double the loss for the Packers, who did not look as good as they should have against the Carolina Panthers. So I'm sitting here on this Monday, Matt. You got to hit the sounder. It's not even a reaction. It's a question. I'm going to ask you, what even are the Packers and what even are the Panthers? I don't know anything about these teams.
I know. And first off, I hate this Kraft injury. And now Musgrave's an interesting player, but Kraft to me is a developing, not even star, but superstar. I mean, like one of the right there with Bowers and McBride and Warren as the next generation of awesome tight ends. Super impressive in all facets. So that's a massive setback. And he's their number one receiver, but he brings more to the table than even that. Man, I mean, Green Bay's, they beat the Steelers recently, but their best days are really early in the season. I mean, they tied the Cowboys. They lost to the Browns. They lost at home to the Panthers. And they're one of the, on paper at least, one of the best run defenses in the league. But I kind of think Carolina just can run the ball on anybody. I mean, it's getting to that point.
Away from this is that run game is legit for the Carolina.
That run game is legit. I mean, they publicly, said we're going to invest in interior linemen a year ago because our quarterback's tiny and we can't have the pocket pushed into him. But oh, by the way, you created a pretty badass running game, whether it's Dowdell or Hubbard. But I mean, could Hubbard get traded at this point too? Because Rico's the man.
The dude, yeah.
So I heard this, and it's pretty incredible. But they're 4-5, right? Does that sound right for Carolina?
They are 5-4.
5-4?
I think they were 4-4 after last week. Let me double check here. 5-4 Carolina Panthers and the 5-2-1 Green Bay Packers.
The Panthers have been an underdog every week, and they're 5-4. Like something to be said for that.
Will never cover either.
The Packers never cover.
Yeah.
I can't help but be down on the Packers a little bit. Like drop them a tier.
Clearly something missing with the Packers. And then they come back in a few games like, okay, there's the Packers again. And then it's like, nope. They kind of let teams hang around that they're better than. They lose games like this that even with the run game of the Panthers, you still have no business losing to the Panthers if you're the Green Bay Packers. So, you kind of look at the Packers and you're like, what even are you? And the Panthers are a team that is going to be pesky. And if you can run the ball, it's the great equalizer. And if you can go into a place like Green Bay and not only just cover, but go win in a last second field goal, I mean, that's pretty amazing work by the Carolina Panthers where they are right now. Because they're not getting like great quarterback play or anything like that.
No, 102 yards from Young.
They're pounding the ball.
They're pounding the ball. And oh, by the way, you mix in like a McMillan and some other young receivers. I don't know if they have a quarterback or not. I lean towards no, but the rest of the offense sure seems to be in place. Just, I mean, I can't help but look at the Panthers through a big picture lens, where I'm looking at the Packers through a short-term lens. And I feel a lot better about the Panthers big picture than I do about the Packers short-term.
More injuries around the NFL, specifically to Jayden Daniels, quarterback of the Washington Commanders, in what was a statement game by the Seattle Seahawks. And speaking of statements, what about those Buffalo Bills against the Kansas City Chiefs, and a whole lot more from Week 9 next. Today's episode of the NFL Six Pack is brought to you by Supply House. And when it comes to kicking off your renovations, your new repairs, Get your crew moving forward with Supply House. Order today and see parts on your doorstep tomorrow. Over 280,000 plumbing, HVAC, and electrical items from the most trusted brands in the business. Their real-time inventory and honest lead times keep you from punting projects, while their industry-leading customer service always has your blind side covered. You need parts fast for a project? Supply House has next-day delivery. Talk about a game changer. And Parts Finder, 3D schematics, so many tools to save you hours on jobs. And how about their Trade Master perks? You want priority shipping, dedicated support, make the whole process smoother. Join the free Trade Master program today. Score serious perks like priority shipping, lower prices, and a dedicated support line. Real actual support these days. Who would have thought? So visit supplyhouse.com to sign up for free and use promo code SHNFL5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Real people, real service.
Today's show is brought to you by our friends over there at Peloton. Look, folks, it's time to break through the busiest time of the year with a brand new Peloton cross-training Tread Plus that's powered by Peloton IQ. It's Peloton's most elevated technology and equipment yet that gives you real-time guidance, and it gives you endless ways to move, whether you want to work out by yourself or if you want to work out with your favorite instructor, like my personal favorite, Alex Toussaint. He always gets me fired up to tackle the day. And the thing I like about Peloton, it helps me achieve more in less times. They have features that help you plan, stay motivated, track your progress, and Peloton IQ also provides personalized workout plans and recommendations. That's something that I use right now during the busiest time of the year covering the NFL. They plan my workouts for me based on my mood, my vibe, and also my favorite instructors. So make sure you check it out and use it, because it also helps you correct your form in real time, and it maximizes your reps. It counts your reps so that you can do it smarter, safer, and more efficient. Let yourself run, lift, flex, push, and go. Explore the new Peloton cross-training Tread Plus at onepeloton.com.
Getting through our six-pack of the biggest stories, our biggest reactions to NFL Sunday. And stay tuned. We're going to try to get through every game at the end of this podcast after our six-pack of biggest takeaways from Week 9. How about this for a statement? The Seattle Seahawks are the best team in the NFC, defeating the Washington Commanders very easily on Sunday Night Football, Matt. And I got to commend Dan Quinn for taking the podium on Monday, and really it was a mea culpa. He said that it was actually, I got the quote here, and I want to make sure I get it right here, because Jayden Daniels ended up leaving this game with an injury. And I saw him running around late in the game. It was the same way I felt about seeing Christian McCaffrey with a minute left in a 2-score game after he leads the NFL by touches by a wide margin. He's still out there. It's a fireable offense. Who's putting that player on the field in that situation? And I thought the same. It wasn't quite as cut and dry, but I still thought the same about Jayden Daniels out there. And he was running around and getting hit. And Dan Quinn said, quote, "I've been thinking about it nonstop. I missed it." And he did say that it was all on him, and it was a bad decision. Jayden Daniels should not have been out there. Now Jayden Daniels is going to IR. So very different directions for the Commanders and the Seahawks right now after 9 weeks.
I commend him for saying that. But that being said, Washington's in trouble. And this, I mean, it's just one of those injuries you just hate to see, kind of like the Kraft one. It's like, man, I was really enjoying him as a fan, let alone as a Washington fan or supporter or member of the team. But I don't want to pat myself on the back too much, but the Washington season kind of went as I expected, that they got ahead of themselves this offseason with getting all these old dudes and Debo and Tunsil and all that when you weren't as close as you thought you were. And this has gone more wrong than I even expected. And now his injury is really unfortunate. I just feel bad for him and the organization. But now I think you got to start looking at it like maybe we trade a couple old pieces at the deadline and get out of this thing, try to recoup some picks that we used up. And I'm with you, Seattle. I mean, I threw something out last night. I mean, is Darnold now the leader for MVP? I don't think that's crazy. And someone wrote me back, Stafford and the Rams are almost neck and neck with these guys. I mean, that's a pretty fun top of the NFC West that your Niners are looking up at a little bit.
It's not that crazy at all. I mean, Baker Mayfield, I think, in consideration, but it's what have you done for me lately? The Bucks on a bye, and so you're sitting there like, oh, okay. Guess what? You get leapfrog because you didn't get to play this week and show off your game. But Mahomes very interesting in I think both the NFC and the AFC make statements here about some other a couple other teams and some big games here. as well coming up. But as far as the Seahawks go, they're just playing really good football, and it's the passing game. So it's not about the run game or anything like that. It is a Darnold for, he made the one mistake after being nearly perfect, throwing an interception, but things are just humming there. And you plug in a rookie, Cooper Kupp goes out, Torrey Horton, it looks just as good, if not better. Maybe that's even a better fit next to Jackson Smith and Jigba, to be honest with you. So defensive side of the ball are flying around. They're good up front. They've even had some injuries in the secondary and have gotten through that as well. So been very impressed with Sam Darnold and the Seattle Seahawks. And maybe the Washington Commanders kind of because they came from the 76ers trust the process ownership group. And they almost were so good year one that they skipped it, and they're like, oh, never mind, we're already here. The process was quick, and it's like, no, maybe you skipped over, skipped
Big
over B, and so go back to B, and then you'll be good with your young quarterback healthy next year, and hopefully Daniels comes back and is still healthy this year. But it's not looking like it's going the right direction for Washington.
I agree with everything you said, and I would even expand that the Seattle defense might be the best in the league. Pass rush is nasty. They play hard. Muare kind of looks like their Derwin James, Kyle Hamilton type, so pretty impressive stuff.
Maybe the most fun game of the weekend was the Chicago Bears and the Cincinnati Bengals. And unfortunately for the Bears, they lost one of their guys. They own Obango. It's a torn Achilles.
Okay.
So he's done for the year. Odengbo. I always get his name wrong.
I crushed his name,
torn Achilles. So he's going to be done for the year there. But what a ball game that was. 47-42. You had just about everything that a game can have except for defense. And I'm looking at the Cincinnati Bengals, and I know that the Indianapolis Colts didn't win, but is there a bigger winner this season as far as their brand than former Bengals defensive coordinator Lou Anarumo?
I think you're 100% right, man. I mean, this is not a good look for Cincinnati, big picture to me, that you just blame the defensive coordinator, not your drafting, for a horrific defense. I thought Flacco was done. And I mean, I scouted him heavily going into the Steeler game, his first game with the Bengals, and he's been great. They do all this with only rushing for 46 yards. Yeah, 46 yards on the ground, and they score 42 points. I mean, there were 31 fourth quarter points in this game. I mean, just a madness. Kyle Manungai. I mean, if he's not in your fantasy league, what are you doing? I mean, 176 yards on the ground. And I think Caleb Williams is turning a corner. And Cincy has to be a seller. But this is the exact same story they were last year. They're really potent on offense, and the defense is horrific.
Some interesting teams. Are they for real? Chicago Bears, Carolina Panthers, 5-win teams right now that are in that playoff hunt. Cincinnati Bengals, not one of those teams, and not going to be one of those teams in the playoff hunt. And and it gets worse because then you start to have really it all fall apart because after the game. By the way, I love seeing the 4-year-olds go off, right? As a 40-something-year-old myself. I mean, congrats to Joe Flacco. 470 yards, the best ever passing performance by a 40-year-old quarterback in the NFL's history as far as yardage goes. He did have a couple of picks and 4 touchdowns. But it was all in him because, you mentioned Chase Brown, 37 yards on the ground, but he's calling out the defense after the game. And
I actually don't have a problem with that. I know that sounds like a bad teammate, but this is getting to the point of no return.
It's frustration. I don't think he meant it, to anybody in general, but that's how things get really unraveled. The same question was asked to Jamar Chase. He's like, are you going to you have anything to say to the guys on the other side of the ball? And he's like, no, because I don't want them to say S to me if the offense is not playing well. Right. And so, but you just feel it falling apart completely for the Cincinnati Bengals right now. And no Joe Burrow. And what's the path to getting better? Because you just can't play defense.
You can't play defense. I mean, it's so obvious what the problem is. It's just going to take a massive overhaul to get it back to respectable.
And that's if you get some extra draft picks for Trey Henderson, who's not going to sign with you next offseason.
No chance.
To get something. You got to get more than whatever that comp pick might end up being. But they might have to add free agents, so maybe they're not even going to be in the comp formula, even if he does walk, right? Because they're going to have to add more. They're going to have to spend money at least on the side of the ball to bring guys in, even if it's not that big ticket item. So
I like where the Bears are at, though.
Yeah, well, Bears are in a great spot right now.
Yeah.
And you like the new regime and things kind of starting to come together there for sure.
Yep, 100%.
I mean,
offense.
We're only not talking about the Bears defense because they're playing the Bengals this week.
Right.
Let's go. So we talked about Lou Anarumo, but now his new team, the Indianapolis Colts. Now it wasn't a great weekend for him, even though his brand for the year is doing well. How about this for a statement, Matt? The Steelers defense is back. 27-20 win over the team that had the best record in the NFL. 5-3 Steelers now, and defeating the 7-2 Colts.
Now, some of these can be very Tomlin-esque and fluky, the turnovers and all those things. And it's not just because of Steelers, but I contend that they are really good at flying around and causing turnovers and causing splash on defense. Really the best in the league, forcing fumbles and batting passes. And there's been 4 games this year where the defense caused 5 or more turnovers. The Steelers are half of them. One of them was against the Patriots, and New England just kept giving them the ball. In this case, the Steelers took the ball. I mean, they were strip sacking and, being aggressive. And when they do that, they're hard to beat. I mean, the kind of Anarumo side of the ball was quite good. The Steelers offense was real pedestrian real conservative, but the defense was so bad for the last 2 weeks, and it was phenomenal in this game. I'm not worried about the Colts one bit, by the way.
Yeah, the Colts will be fine. I think I still do. The Colts haven't played that difficult of a schedule, so I'm really going to pay attention when the Colts are playing the other playoff caliber football teams going forward. But a big win for the Steelers too, because they don't, they need to win. They need to keep stacking these wins to stay in front of a team that might be charging like the Baltimore Ravens, even though they got that head start. And so, beating another AFC team for seeding is super important. So it was a pretty big win for the Pittsburgh Steelers and to prove they can still play defense.
Yeah, very encouraging.
Yeah, and just seeing those guys fly off the edge and do their thing, I think was pretty important just for the psyche of the team. Right? Oh, that's right. TJ Watt's still a baller, right? Like we have those guys, and we're going to be fine. Yeah. By the way, one quick note I wanted to bring up on the Cincinnati Bengals. This from Aaron Schatz. According to DVOA, that Bengals performance on defense in Week 9, the worst by any defense since 1978.
I think that might be when DVOA was created, so it might be in the history of DVOA. Either way, it's pretty darn bad.
That's not good. That is definitely not good. Like, not only was it just a bad performance, that's it. It was the worst performance of your life if you were someone that was born, in the 80s or sooner. More takeaways from Week 9 Sunday. We're going to try to get through as many games as possible, but 2 big ones with the Buffalo Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs and the Minnesota Vikings and JJ McCarthy doing a number on the division rival Detroit Lions. And we got a record field goal as well next. Today's episode of the NFL Six Pack is brought to you by FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of a game, you want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score the next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team is making that late push. So whether it's NBA basketball, NFL football, college, World Series, unfortunately over now. It was a really good series there. I don't love the team that won that for my hometown folks over here. But you got NHL hockey as well, and a number of ways to play, whether it's lines, parlays, player props. And right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. I said it about the Seahawks. How about the Buffalo Bills making a statement? And it's hard to argue that they aren't the best team right now after 9 weeks in the AFC, after defeating the Kansas City Chiefs in what was the premier game of the weekend, 28-21, and just being kind of rock solid on both sides of the ball was the important thing that I was looking for.
That's exactly what I was thinking too. They run the ball on everybody now, but a real efficient offensive performance. Ball didn't hit the ground very much when Allen decided to throw. They controlled the clock. They didn't get overly aggressive. And the defense made some nice strides. I mean, their safeties have been really bad, but they were making plays. I thought Ed Oliver's absence would be bigger than it was, at least in this game. Now, on the field, I'm not real worried about the Chiefs, but as it stands now, they're on the outside looking in. I think it's pretty clear that the Patriots and Bills are going to go in the East. I mean, there's not a lot of wild card spots available for Kansas City, and I don't think anybody's crying for them, but this was a pretty big loss just in terms of the standings and postseason implications.
Absolutely. Patriots with another win as well. So then you start to build a little bit of a gap between seeding in the AFC, and it starts to get very important there. 24-23 win for the Patriots, narrowly getting by the Atlanta Falcons. Falcons kind of had a little bounce back, but it wasn't enough at the New England Patriots. So 7-2 Pats. You got the 6-2 Bills, and the Chiefs right now at 5-4. And they're even looking up in their own division after a Denver Broncos win as well, 18-15 over the Houston Texans. So that's a multiple game lead that the Broncos have in the West over the Kansas City Chiefs. So things get very interesting as far as seeding go. And you really got to look at the tiebreakers there with those AFC matchups too. So not only winning a game or losing a game, but against another AFC opponent is the second tiebreaker, after the division games.
Yeah. And Jacksonville right now is ahead of Kansas City in the wild card standings. And a couple things you mentioned there too. I mean, unfortunately, we've had to bring up some injuries. Stroud in that Denver game with a concussion. You hope that doesn't linger, but that was not the prettiest of games. Defensive battle. You mentioned that Patriot-Falcons game. No, it's easy to talk about May and the offense, and that's obviously trending the right direction, but their defense has been very, very good. And it kind of felt like it was Patriots versus Drake London. And London was one of those balls going to him every time. I use this example all the time. When I was at Pitt with Larry Fitzgerald, we could just put it on the scoreboard. We're throwing to Larry. I mean, that's what it felt with London.
3 touchdowns for Drake London, 9 catches for 118 yards, 1-handers in the end zone, toe tapping. It was a heck of a performance there. Really leaning on their best offensive weapon in the passing game there. In Drake
but they
London.
took Bijan away,
Yeah, exactly. And it's kind of that there is some. It's a very different way that things are going on with the Patriots, but this is a guy that was, a head coach that was head coached by Bill Belichick, and there's some of that there. That was one of the Belichick things.
Yeah.
Take away this one thing, and the Patriots have been good at that.
Yeah, they have enough firepower to actually do it right now. They're good enough players.
Here's my last statement. JJ McCarthy. For real, looking like that same guy we saw with the fiery passion in college at Michigan. He was on the bench. He was hurt, and he was pretty emotional after the game as well. Now, he didn't like the scoreboard on fire necessarily, but it was the Vikings were in a place where it was like, this could be a disaster. And so Brian Flores' defense that had been getting torched stepped up, and JJ McCarthy back in action as the starting quarterback, looked like a starting quarterback, even though the numbers might not tell the entire story. I thought McCarthy looked good, and nothing was too big or too fast for him. 143 yards passing on 14 of 25, couple of touchdowns, and was able to outduel Jared Goff, and a big win for the Vikings, improving to 4-4, 27-24 over the 5-3 Lions. I didn't know the Lions would have 3 losses at this point in the year.
Yeah, I think they're a better team than that. It's almost like this Packer conversation. It's like, you guys seem really good, but you're 5-3. I think that's right about McCarthy. I mean, I'm probably somewhat guilty of this too. Like, man, I don't think the Vikes have a quarterback. Let's give the guy at least a chance. And he didn't have to do a ton, but he made plays when he had to. Montgomery had a really rough fumble that hurt them bad, and they had a lot of penalties at the wrong times for Detroit. It wasn't Detroit's best day. But give Minnesota credit. They ran the ball well. They had a solid game plan. The defense made plays, and they're 4-4. I thought Minnesota was kind of left for dead, but they're not. I mean, they're still in the hunt.
I want to run through some of these other games as well from Week 9 Sunday. Congratulations on a record-breaking field goal for Little and the Jacksonville Jaguars. 68-yarder as the Jags defeat the Raiders in overtime, 30-29. And I cannot believe, even with an extra quarter, that the Jags and the Raiders got to nearly 60 total points, because I paid no attention to this game after the 6-3 halftime, because I was watching some other games and I was doing some other things, and it was just an ugly, grinded out affair. And they just kept running the football into a brick wall and running it. And neither team was scoring or doing anything on the offensive side of the ball. And suddenly I was like, oh, the game's in overtime. It must have been like 9-9. It was 23-23. It's like, how did they get 23 points apiece? Fourth quarter explosions on offense for the Jaguars and the Raiders. Raiders fall to 2-6, Jags 5-3.
44 points in the fourth quarter in overtime. And I kind of give the Raiders credit that they showed signs of life. A healthy Brock Bowers goes a real long way. He blew up like
everything
crazy.
You said about Drake London ×2 for Brock Bowers.
Yeah, exactly. Well said. And Geno was better. And the Raiders could have just kicked the extra point and kept the overtime going, but they decided to go for it. And, they had nothing to lose. I respect it.
Oh, yeah. I respect it. Didn't work.
Got
to try to go win the game. And so big time win for the Jacksonville Jaguars, but they've been a team that's kind of stumbled as well into now a 5-3 record in that same zone as a lot of football teams. So the second half is going to be a lot of fun here, both the NFC and the AFC, where there's some more teams than maybe we thought that are going to be in the mix, and some teams that we thought would be maybe out ahead a little bit are down battling for their playoff lives right now in the second half of the year. And so we'll see what happens with the trade deadline and what big moves potentially could be added to the mix there. Only game we didn't really talk about at all was Chargers over the Titans. I don't know what else there is to say about the Tennessee Titans. 27-20 win for the Chargers, who are 6-3.
We didn't mention Rams Saints either, but I don't think we had to. Yeah, I mean, that was not even competitive. Went
as expected. The favorites won, fairly easily. Much easier for the Rams. 34-10 win over the New Orleans Saints. There, Saints 1-8 now. Rams in a good spot, 6-2. NFC West very hotly contested right now, at least with 3 of the 4 teams, and the Chargers sitting right there in between the Broncos and the Chiefs at 6-3.
So the Steelers go and play the Chargers next Sunday night. So I dug into this game more than I would have a Chargers-Titans game. But it was kind of an odd game in that Tennessee scored 2 non-offensive touchdowns like right off the bat. And then Joe Alt gets hurt. And he's out for the year now. And then their right tackle goes out of the game. Herbert, this was like the worst pass rushing team in the league, the Titans. And they were after Herbert every snap. I mean, like, he was running for his life. He was under pressure all the time. And they were able to, Tennessee's offense did nothing in this game. They were able to win the game. But we might look back at this game and be like, this is kind of when the Chargers season officially fell apart because of the O-line situation.
Yeah, brutal. Second big injury this year for Alt.
Yeah.
And I had him on my list here. Didn't mention it earlier with some of the big injuries around the NFL. They got through it the first time without Alt. Can they do it again? It might be a big ask, but I think they've improved.
They were noticeably worse without him.
Yeah, that's the big problem. And they were last time he went down too.
Yeah.
There you go. What is your biggest takeaways and overreactions from Week 9? Let us know at BD Peacock at Williamson NFL. Drop a comment on YouTube and subscribe while you are there. And back tomorrow on another NFL 6-pack.